Hello, Charles County. I am Tanae Kidd, President of Charles County Association of Student Councils, and welcome to this year's first student member of the board, Charles County Debate. We are here today with our two small finalists, Amira Abujuma from North Point and David Yum from Westlake High School. You guys may start with a little intro. Amira, you may go first.
Hello everyone, my name's Amira Abujuma and I'm running to be your next student member of the board. The reason why I decided to run for this position is because I believe students are severely underrepresented within Charles County Public Schools. I want to allow students to have direct inclusion when it comes to implementing policies within Charles County. That way they can have direct control over their own education.
David?
Hi everyone, my name is David Yum. I'm from Westlake High School, and the reason I decided to run for student member of the board is so that students could have a voice, and that voice could be me. They could come to me for their issues and we could attack them head on and solve them, so that students that come in from middle school and new generation, they don't have to deal with those same issues.
Thank you. Before we begin, just a reminder to respond. We're going to alternate between candidates, and please be respectful. Please take this opportunity after the questions to ask each other your own questions about responses. You guys get the directions? Perfect. So let's begin. First question. How will you impact and assist all students in CCPS?
So one of the ways I plan on impacting students is first by informing them of the issues that we see within Charles County. I believe a lot of students, they don't have a direct opinion or have formulated their own opinions on the issues we see within Charles County, and I want to empower them to form those opinions and direct those opinions towards the Board of Education and speak up for themselves. And I want to represent students and their voices and advocate for them and any issues they may see within Charles County.
Thank you. David?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Of course I can. How will you impact and assist all students in Charles County Public Schools?
So, when I was in middle school, I always felt as if I needed a voice. I needed someone that could speak up for me, especially as a minority. I'd never felt like I could go to someone that I could talk to, and I felt like every day was going to be the same thing. We weren't capable of change because there was no figure that we could go to speak to someone. So for me, I want to be that figure, so that another young girl, young boy, whoever it may be, can come to me and speak to me about their issues. I want fair education for all students, regardless of race, gender, religion. It shouldn't matter. Every student should have access to fair and equal education, and I want to accomplish that.
Thank you for your responses. Any questions?
No.
Not for me.
Thank you. On to the next question. What is your vision for the education system in this county? David?
Okay. My vision is that we create policies to make a more fair environment and a more passionate community. Students in Charles County, in my opinion, I feel as if they aren't passionate about what they're doing, or maybe they lack the educational stand they need to access, and it isn't accessible to all students. Being fair means creating programs and helping students realize that teachers are there for them, and helping teachers realize that these students need them to be a role model for them. So creating those programs to help students who are unsure of a future career and inspire them to go into a certain career field or career path, those are the programs I would like to help create.
Thank you. Amir?
So my vision for education within Charles County is I want to create a more influential and creative environment. I believe within schools, they don't allow much opportunity for students to express their creativity. A lot of times it's just testing, assignments, a lot of that. What I would like to do is I would want to make our education less testing focused and instead implement more creative aspects within our education, allowing students to participate in projects and really show that they really know content. And if they're not a great test taker, that would be one of the ways to show that they're not dumb or they're not stupid, and that they are capable of succeeding within academics simply by not basing their self-worth and their academic worth based off of their ability to take tests.
Thank you. Any questions?
When you say creative, different approaches to testing, could you elaborate on that?
Okay, so what I mean by different approaches to testing is you can do research projects or you can create hands-on projects, whether it be dioramas, that kind of stuff, and that can show that you know content. Because in order to successfully carry out that project, you need to study for it. So that's a better alternative to testing for students who aren't great test takers because it's not a stressful environment. It's not where people could be panicking, and instead they're able to express their creativity and show that they know their content through those projects.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, I'm okay.
All right, on to the next question. What is one change you'll like to see to the dress code? And how will you help ensure that the dress code implemented is fair for all students in Charles County? Amira?
So one change I would want to see to the dress code is I would like to see the unrestriction of comfortable clothing. So what I would like to elaborate on that, I'm talking about tank tops, leggings, shorts, all of that stuff. Those are comfortable clothes. When students, when they come to school, they're there for 7 hours a day. There should not be a restriction on clothing that they deem as comfortable and clothing they want to wear in this environment. So that is one of the changes I would like to make to dress code. Another thing I would like to add is headwear. I feel like that should not be restricted, especially scarves or head wraps, because a lot of times there are cultural aspects to those pieces. It's not just fashion statements. That is someone's culture, and if they want to express it, they have every right to do so.
Thank you. David?
For me, I believe that the dress code is simply outdated, and many of the students, they bring it to my concern. It's probably the number one issue besides mental health that has been brought to my attention during my campaign. And I believe that students find it uncomfortable, and they see fashion as a way to express themselves. And I believe fashion should be done so that way, while also maintaining a level of professionalism in a learning environment. We go to school every day to learn, so I feel that fashion can definitely be used to help express ourselves while also maintaining that level of I'm coming here to learn, I'm coming here to get educated, and I believe that that can be fairly done. And the way that we get that fairly implemented is by changing the way our administrators punish those who don't follow the dress code regulations. In my experience, I've seen students be taken away from friends or pulled out of class to come back from their ripped jeans to old sweatpants from the gym or in the lost and found. I feel like that is a very inappropriate way to punish those who have not followed the dress code. So we change that.
Thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do have something I would like to add. So as far as implementing the dress code fairly, another thing I would want to ensure is that the dress code is implemented the same across all genders, because it's obvious that the dress code is mainly geared towards girls and women. And I believe in order for it to be truly fair, we need to have the same restrictions placed on men as well.
Anything else?
Can you elaborate on the restrictions?
Okay, so for example, whenever they talk about midriff or how low a shirt can be cut for a girl, it's always those restrictions are for girls only and not for guys. And I understand it's not as common to see guys wearing that type of clothing, but I still believe for the sake of fairness that they should implement the same regulations across all genders.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
All right, on to the next question. How will you fight for student equality? David?
This is a big one for me, especially, as I said in the beginning, growing up a minority and not having someone that I could talk to and go to as someone to speak to about my issues. I had to go through it on a daily basis. And for me, personally, I felt as if I had to fight that issue alone. But now there shouldn't be a need for that, especially with how accepting everyone can be and how accepting our society is, how diverse we are as a community. We can come together, we can solve these issues and make sure that equality is something that we can all achieve together through education, through our community, through our environment, through different campaigns we can do, bring awareness to these issues, and that's how we solve it.
Thank you. Amira?
Can you restate the question?
No problem. How will you fight for student equality?
So one of the ways I would fight for student equality is implementing systems that allow them to have an equal say and an equal voice when it comes to implementing policies. So, for example, as student member of the board, I would have a very influential role on the decisions that the board makes. But before making those decisions, I would want to consult all students. I would want to create systems that allow students to vote themselves on what they would want me to say. That way we can ensure that all student voices are actually being equally represented and all students have equal opportunity to express their opinions and have a say on these policies.
Thank you. Any other questions or responses? Oh, David?
No, I don't.
Nothing? All right, perfect. You guys be ready to move on to the next question?
Yes.
All right. What makes you the correct choice for the student member of the Board of Education?
So what I think makes me the best choice is essentially my experience. I have dedicated the past 6 years of my life to student council, and I have taken it very seriously. Right now, I am the current National Technical Honor Society Vice President. I also am involved in the Maryland Association of Student Councils, and I'm set to be a workshop presenter at the next convention. So as you can see, I'm not only involved on the school level in student council, the county level, but also the state level. And another reason why I believe I'm the correct choice for SMOB is because I'm persistent and I want to represent students and I want to advocate for them, and I will continue to fight for them no matter what.
David?
Well, before answering this question, I believe that Amira is a wonderful choice for student member of the board. I believe that we share a lot of the same beliefs and we want to achieve the same thing, and that is student representation. And I believe that either of us can achieve that, but the reason I believe that I'm the correct choice for SMOB is because I won't give up. I'll keep fighting through, and I won't quit. No matter the issue is, I'll fight towards it no matter what it entails. I will stay persistent to achieve perseverance.
Thank you. Any questions or responses?
No.
All right. Next question would be, what is your main priority as a student member of the board?
My main priority as a student member of the board would be to make sure that all student voices are heard, regardless of what school you go to, regardless of your age, regardless of your gender, your race, your religion. All of that shouldn't matter. Your voice should be heard, no matter how small the issue, no matter how big the issue should be dealt with. And I believe that when the issue is presented to us, we deal with it as it's in front of us. We don't go around it, we don't go above, we don't go below. We go right through it so that other students won't have to face this same issue. We can stop it then and there, and we do it by any means necessary.
Thank you. Amira?
My main priority as student member of the board is to address the long-standing issues that we have seen within Charles County for years. I want to address the big problems that students have. That way we can create more comfortable learning environments for all students. So to go more into specifics, a lot of students, they express their discomfort with the dress code. They often talk about mental health, how we can build on that. And then student academic disengagement. I believe we can engage more students to become more academically better and work harder within a school environment. So I want to address the issues that we have been seeing for a very long time now.
Thank you. Any questions or responses?
No.
All right, on to the next question. You guys are doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
What actions are you planning to take once elected regarding students' mental health?
Okay, so one of the first things I want to do, I know school is a huge stressor for students, and a lot of students who experience problems with mental health, they often talk about how school is one of the stressors that contribute to that. So I would want to create breaks within schools, so whether it be an hour-long lunch in between their classes, just so they can have a time to take a break, socialize, or within the middle schools, a half an hour free period where they're not learning, not in class, but they can use their phones and they can do what they need to do, just to make sure they're in the right headspace and they're not getting burnt out. Another thing I would want to do is implement more support systems. So getting more in-school psychologists and, focusing more of our budget on mental health. And then lastly, I would want to re-educate our staff and let them identify the important aspects of when students are suffering from a mental health issue. Because a lot of times when students are suffering from mental health, they'll watch their grades decline or their academics decline, and they're met with blame and hostility. But I believe when teachers see that students' grades are declining or they're not doing as well anymore, they should recognize that as possibly a symptom of mental health and not that this student just can't keep up in a school environment.
Thank you. David?
Could you please repeat the question?
No problem. What actions are you planning to take once elected regarding students' mental health?
So mental health has been a big thing ever since coming back, especially from the COVID period where we were dealing with online learning. And I feel as if it was much easier on students. There was an asynchronous day on Wednesday, which when speaking to even my administrators, they prefer that in person, if we were allowed to, that Wednesday would be taken off as an asynchronous day. It would give students the opportunity and the chance to just breathe and relax and recalibrate so they can come back to school the next day fully recharged and ready to learn. And so I believe that we need to take more serious note on our mental health. It should be the forefront of our fight. And the way we do that is, I believe that creating free periods for students to talk to counselors, psychologists, and local therapists where we gather the local community to help this issue. And I believe that we need to destigmatize the issue of going to therapy, whatever that means. It should mean getting the help you need to be the best person you can.
Thank you. Any responses or comments?
I do have a question. When you talk about implementing an asynchronous day, do you mean that work will still be assigned to students?
I feel as if we come with that, we approach that road when we get there. I mean, if it's appropriate and that's the thing that our administrators and our staff need to be done, I believe that it's much better than if we were to have that asynchronous day going in person and dealing with the work then. I would rather be at home where I can be in a positive state of mind and be more relaxed and receive that schoolwork at home.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
All right, on to the next question. If you had unlimited beans, what is one thing you would change about Charles County Public Schools? Yes, Amira.
So one of the things that I would change if I had unlimited means is I would change the way our budget is spent. I would allocate more of the funding to certain portions that aren't necessarily the main priority. So of course, one of the biggest things is mental health. I would want to see more money go into creating mental health support systems for students. And I would also like to see more money go into the lunch food if they can get bigger portions for students, because a lot of students talk about how they're not filled up after they eat. If we can get those things addressed and get more funding for that, that would be one of the things that I would do.
Thank you. David?
If I had unlimited means, I would definitely expand the budget that we have here in Charles County. We could create everything fair, especially at my school. Basketball and football are huge, and those are our two biggest sports. But I believe that if I had unlimited means, we could create all big and fair equity for all sports, so that every sport would have the same opportunities as those basketball, football players do. You know, every sport would be treated the same, and I believe that I would also want to keep the lunches free. I mean, I see many students very grateful that the lunches are free this year. Many students don't have to worry about not having money in their account or worried about if they're spending too much. The lunch is free and it's relaxed, and lunch becomes much more of a safe space for them, not having to worry about financial issues. And having a bigger budget in general would help create a lot of opportunities, especially for fixing mental health or helping that cause and bringing awareness to different issues such as that.
Thank you. Any comments or responses?
I'm okay.
No.
All right, on to the next question. What do you think is one of the most important topics or responsibilities of being a student member of the Board of Education? David?
So I believe that a very important thing when it comes to being a student member of the board is you're serving as a student representative. You're living life as a student. You see through that perspective. And with all due respect to the board members, they don't go to school like we do every day. They don't see what we see. They hear what we hear. They hear whatever's sent out through email, but they don't see what we see. We see it in person. We're experiencing it. We're living through it. So our perspective, our word from other students and what we see should mean a lot to fixing student issues. I feel as if the student member of the board position is so important, and so do the the privileges that come with it, but we need to give our perspective, give the voices that we're getting, and portray that out loud to these board members.
Thank you. Amira?
Can you please repeat the question?
Of course. What do you think is one of the most important topics or responsibilities being the student member of the Board of Education?
So definitely the most important responsibility is being that representative voice for students. I believe as student member of the board, you shouldn't rely on the students coming to you, but instead you should come to them and you should find out what issues they are having and you should listen to their voices and what they need to say. That way you can relay it back to the board. You should not wait for just a small majority of students to come to you and tell you your issues before you do anything. You should be consistently working and consistently striving for these students to improve their education, even if they don't directly say it outright.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
So when you say we should be approaching the student, many students in my experience have been hesitant to come forward with their experience because of how they felt previously. How will you deal with those students that are hesitant to come forward, and that do we just stay stagnant?
So that's why I was emphasizing we should come to them. When I was younger, I was very shy and I would never express my own personal opinions. So one thing I really needed was someone to come to me and tell me that they cared about my voice, they cared about my opinion as a student. And that's something I want to do for other students as well. Let them know that they will be listened to and that I care for their own opinions and their own well-being, and that I will genuinely try to help and serve them.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Can I say something to that? Okay.
Of course.
So when you say go forward to the students, don't you believe that us taking action first by listening to the students that come forward first will, when we take action and we solve that issue, don't you think that is better so we are encouraging those students that are afraid to speak up to come to us rather than us going to them?
Well, not necessarily, because that's indirect. A lot of students, they won't know if someone came to us firsthand. Whenever someone comes to us and they express our issues, it's not like live streamed, it's not blasted to the entire student population. This is just done between me or the current student member of the board and the student themselves who came with the issue. So other students are not able to witness that. They're not able to see what was done because it's not something that we necessarily advertise.
So I believe as a student voice, we need to maintain a loud voice. We need to make sure that we're heard, especially by our student population, because who are they going to know to come to, especially when we're solving their issues? They should know that, okay, they can solve this issue, so we can come to them if we have another issue. So don't you think that us taking that action and using awareness, especially with all the social media and technology we have today, that could encourage those students to come forward, and if not, we then go to them?
Well, I can see where you're coming from, and I like how you're talking about that will influence students. And of course, we want both aspects. We want the aspects of influencing these students as well as allowing them, or as well as coming to them in addition to that. So having those two aspects in combination will really ensure that all students are being properly represented.
I agree.
Thank you. And also, thank you for being respectful to one another. Thank you for that. Next question will be, who are the people that inspire you and how have they guided you? And the second part to that question is, how are they going to continue to impact you in your future role as student member of the Board of Education?
So the people who inspire me the most are definitely my parents. So my parents are both immigrants. When they moved to America, they were very tight on money. They had very little opportunity, and they didn't speak English very well. And a lot of times, even though they were suffering, they were still very selfless and hardworking, and they were persistent, and they worked very hard to get to where they are today. And that's essentially what inspired me to run for this SMOB position, because I have had these influences. I've been witnessing my parents and seeing how selfless and how much they do for other people, no matter how much it causes them to struggle. So that is something that I would definitely want to implement in my SMOB position. That way I could be that hardworking and persistent voice for the students of Charles County. And there was a second part to the question.
Yes. So how is that influence of your parents going to continue in your future work as student member of the Board of Education?
So that influence, that role model, this is something I grew up with, and I believe it definitely shaped my personal opinions and the way I do things today. So My parents, I still live with them. They're still around. So definitely they encourage me, and they tell me every single day that I should give up and help like other people, and I should put other people before myself. And that is one of the things that I believe will continue to guide me through this position. That way, when I'm representing students, I'm not falling short to my own bias, but instead I'm actually advocating for students, even if it's something that I don't personally agree with. If I know it's the student opinion, that is something I will still advocate for, because I'm putting others before myself.
Thank you. David?
I definitely relate to Amir on this one, having immigrant parents come to this country from South Korea, not being able to speak English that well. And my dad, he works construction from early morning to late at night. And he works so incredibly hard, regardless of the weather, regardless of maybe annoying tenants he has to deal with. He has to deal with all that on a daily basis, and he doesn't complain. He comes home with a smile on his face just because he doesn't want our brother, my brother and me to struggle, to see that we have to struggle financially. We never had to because of how hard he works. And I remember going on work trips with him, and he's just fighting all day, fighting everything in his path, but he's just always stands tall. Even if the day ends in a loss, he's standing tall because of me, my brother, and my mom. So watching him, I'm like, wow, this is who I aspire to be like. This is how hard I want to work, especially in a position like this. You have to fight hard. And my coach, Coach Sterling Metz, he built this mental fortitude inside me, especially when I was at my lowest point, and he taught me almost everything I knew about the person I am today. So those two will guide me in this position, as to work hard and always stand tall with my mental fortitude.
Thank you. Any questions or responses?
No.
All right, on to the next question. What are your plans to address and reduce bullying in Charles County Public Schools? Oh, it's David's turn.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
So I believe that no teacher, no administrator can solve the issue of bullying in Charles County except for students. Students need to be the ones to stop bullying. Bullying occurs among students, and if you have a teacher or an adult yelling in your ear about how bullying isn't right, or bullying is this, bullying is that, it's not going to work. Us students, we need to realize the dire effects of what bullying can do to someone, whether it be in person, physically, in the school building, or online through social media. Bullying has some of the most dire effects that are just in front of us, and we never realize how bad it is until the consequences are in our face. We never realize, oh wait, maybe I went too far on this one, or maybe I shouldn't have done that, until it's right there in front of you, and then there's nothing you can do. You can't turn back now. Someone's life is forever affected by the words you said to them, by the hands you laid on them. We need to realize as students how serious this is. And no matter the cost, what that is, start these awareness movements online, pep rallies, marches, whatever we have to do. Us as students need to come together unified to stop bullying together.
Thank you. Amira?
So personally, the way I would address bullying, if any student were to see bullying or they were to witness someone being bullied, I would first want them to either report that or stand up for the person that they have been bullying. But as far as people who are being bullied, I believe that they need proper support systems to get through that. So whether those support systems be mental health, if they're suffering from any sort of mental health issues, or just any support to get encouragement to stand up for themselves and to prevent themselves from allowing to be bullied. And then we need to talk about like punishing the bully themselves. So of course, bullies, they should be punished because that is unacceptable behavior, but they should also receive support, because a lot of times bullies, whenever they bully, it's because they either have issues at home or they have personal issues that they're working through. And we need to get them mental health resources and mental health support as well. And then on top of that, I feel from a very early age, one of the reasons why people bully is because they see someone who's different. So children who are different, they're generally the targets of being bullied. So I believe from an early age, elementary school age, we need to expose these young students to different kinds of people, different cultures, different religions, all of these different kinds of people. That way, when they see someone who's different, they don't feel inclined to make fun of them or to bully them. Instead, they acknowledge their differences and they appreciate them because that's what they were taught from such a young age.
Thank you. Any questions or other responses?
I do have a question. So you talk about how you don't want to get administrators and all of that involved. How will you ensure that students actually, want to prevent bullying and don't want to stand up for their peers?
I didn't necessarily say I don't want them to get involved. I believe that the root of bullying, as I said, or the stoppage of bullying doesn't stem from our administrators. That's what I meant. I meant that students stem. They're the reasons that the bullying stops. They're the reason the bullying starts. And if we're the start, we need to be the end. So I believe that obviously getting those administrators to help and guide us through that is what needs to be done. Yes, we're in our learning environment. We're in this educational environment. But I believe that us as students need to be more passionate about these issues we're facing, especially when it comes to the regard of bullying. And I feel like if we teach and educate these students on the effects that bullying has, that's how we come together as a community to put a stop to it.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
No.
Great. On to the next question, guys. How will you promote a positive learning environment in Charles County Public Schools as a student member of the board?
So I believe in order to promote a positive learning environment, you first need to have students who have a positive attitude towards learning. And the only way to get that positive attitude towards learning is to have students excited to go to school and to address their issues that they see within schools. So as we talked about earlier, a lot of students, they have issues with the dress code. A lot of students, they suffer with mental health. There are all of these issues that they have, and we need to address them firsthand. So that's what I think.
Thank you. David?
I believe we achieve this by pride and unification, pride of our schools. I mean, if you're proud of your school and you enjoy going there every day, it's automatically going to create that positive learning environment. So being prideful in your school, being prideful in your community, your environment, your friends, that's what stems from a positive environment. And doing so, we can implement different strategies to do so. We can imply mentorship programs. We can apply tutorings. We can apply things that make students more passionate about coming to school every day, coming to their learning environment, and helping create programs that could help inspire some students that are unsure of what career to take in the future. We create programs like that to help them understand, oh, this could be a potential career path for me, and make it fun in a way for them so they could enjoy it.
Any questions or response?
No questions, but I would like to add another way I would like to promote a positive learning environment is through implementing some sort of incentive system. So students who perform academically well, or if their behavior is good, they deserve some sort of reward for that behavior.
Anything else?
I agree with that in a sense, but don't you think that when students achieve that award, students who try hard but don't academically get there, don't you think that would discourage them in a way?
Well, that's why I also talked about behavior as well as another factor. So if you see someone who is striving for their academics and they are genuinely working hard, then they deserve those incentives and those rewards just as much as someone who is doing well academically. Because when you think about it, there are some kids who do well academically, but they're not good students and they don't have good behavior. So we need to reward students who are both working hard academically and show good and engagement within the classroom.
And when you say incentive like an award, what necessarily do you mean?
Okay, so I'll just use an example. I know one of the things North Point we have these things called flight cards, and it's basically for students who get good grades. And on those cards, you'd be able to get you have late homework passes, or you have food passes. Certain days they'll give out food like donuts or something that students can get. So I know North Point, we do it solely based off of grades, but how I would like to do it is based off of behavior and student engagement, and they could reap those same incentives.
We have something similar at Westlake. We call them Wolverine Bucks, and those are based on behavior. Or maybe you get a good grade on a test or assignment, and those are given. We give very small snacks for that. And so when you said North Point, you guys get donuts, if I heard correctly, and maybe larger awards. Don't you think that would cause some sort of issue with schools that have maybe less of a budget than a school like North Point?
Well, I've also mentioned other things that that aren't necessarily costly. So for example, when I said late homework passes, that's something we have. We also have process grade redos. So if you didn't do very well on a process grade assignment, you can redo that. So I think that should be available to all students to improve academically as well. If there's a student who shows that they're persistent and they're actually engaged and they want to do well in their academics, they should be allowed those opportunities.
Any other questions or responses?
No.
All right. We only have a couple of questions left, so we do encourage you to continue answering to your full ability and ask the necessary questions to one another. So the next one will be, how will you use your small position to bring student voice to other community leaders, such as board members, county commissioners, or even Maryland state legislations?
Okay, so one of the ways I will use my voice is first by consulting or use the small. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Of course, no problem. So, if you are elected to the position of SMOB, how would you bring the student voice to other community leaders, such as board members, county commissioners, or Maryland state legislators?
Okay, so one of the ways I would bring student voice to these leaders is first by addressing what exactly the student voice is. So by addressing their concerns and their issues and consulting with these students, as I've mentioned earlier, coming to the students to figure out what pressing issues they have and what they want me to advocate for. So that is one of the things I will do. On top of that, when I'm talking to board members and all of that, maybe we could do things where we could start petitions, have people sign like any policies they would like to see implemented, and I would advocate for that. And then another thing, when it comes to legislative leaders, I know we have the Board of Education. We could talk to the board members, but I also believe if there's a problem that we can't find a solution to on the county level, we could take it all the way up to the Maryland Association of Student Councils or go to the Maryland Board of Education meetings and take it up to the state level. And if you were to have the SMOB position, then that's a very influential role, and it would influence these leaders to listen to you because you are the representative of a good majority of the student population.
David?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Of course I can. If elected to be the student member of the Board of Education, how would you bring the student voice to other community leaders, such as board members, county commissioners, or even the Maryland legislators?
I believe we have to let these leaders and these board members know how important our voice is. We're students. We're not just children. We're students. We have value. We're valuable. Our community stems on our schools. We're the future leaders, and this is who we are. And so letting these leaders know how important these issues are and really stemming to them that we're living through the experience, so we would know as these as student member of the board, we would know firsthand how these experiences are like, these issues that we are facing, and let them know how important it is that we're giving them this perspective so that we could handle those issues head on.
Thank you. Any responses or questions?
I have a question. So how exactly do you intend to emphasize how important it is to students?
To students or to
okay, how important what you're advocating for to students is to the leaders, because you're saying that you want to advocate, like, basically that this is something that's very important for us. How do you plan on portraying that message, sending that across to the other board members?
Well, for Westlake specifically, I'm going to speak for my school, especially because I go there every day. We see up front everything that happens, all the fights, all the arguments, all the drama. It's so easily accessible to us students. We have literal social media pages displaying this information. But when speaking to an administrator about it, they have no clue. I didn't know there was a fight, or I didn't know this was an ongoing thing. So we take the evidence we have in front of us, these social media pages, and we let them know this is happening in front of us. We need it to be dealt with. We can't go to a learning and a safe environment where people are harming each other, dealing drugs, whatever the worst case scenarios are that are portrayed in front of us. We need to let these leaders know we can't go to our learning environments like this. We need it to be stopped. We need it to be fixed, and that's how we emphasize it.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
All right. Next question would be, what is your course of action if you get a student question or a student issue that you cannot provide an answer to or a solution?
So if I were,
David's
oh,
sense
I'm
respond
sorry.
first. Sure, good.
Okay, so I actually have a personal experience relating to this. During my campaign, we went up to hang our posters in different middle schools and high schools. And when I hung up a poster at a middle school, a girl approached me and she spoke to me about something that I was unaware of the topic with. And not wanting to give the incorrect information, I relayed to her my social media. And I told her, please reach out to me. I will do all the correct studying of this regard of this subject, and I will get back to you. And even while studying, I was still unsure of the answer I could give this young lady. So while not wanting to relay the incorrect information and causing something, I reached out to a trusted adult, someone I knew had experience in something in this field, and they gave me the correct information regarding that subject. And I also relayed them to their school counselor so they could give them the correct subject, the correct information regarding for their school's policy.
Thank you. Amira?
I agree with David. When it comes to getting a question like that you can't necessarily answer, the last thing you want to do is give them an answer that is incorrect. It's better to say that I can't answer that question and be genuine with them than giving them an incorrect answer. So I would study and I would research before I gave students an answer, but I would make it my main priority to find a sufficient enough answer to that student question. And then as far as solutions to any issues, if I can't find a solution to an issue a student is having, then I believe in compromise. We can find some sort of compromise that will solve the solution, at least for the short term, until we can find a long-term solution. Because I don't believe that there are no solutions to any issue ever. There's always going to be some kind of solution, even if it's not exactly what the student was envisioning, it'll at least improve conditions for the most part.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just to add on to what we were saying is this also builds a level of trust between the students and us. They see that, okay, they don't have all the correct information regarding this subject, but they did the research to find out. That means they care. Even the fact that relaying someone to their counselor means that they care. So this means that they can be passionate about it. They can be like, okay, I can rely on this person and they're trustworthy and they'll do the work to get my answer and what we need to be done.
Anything else?
So to add on to what David's saying, because I really agree with that, definitely as a student member of the board, it's not their job to know everything and to have all of the answers to their questions. Their job is to have the willingness to find the answers to those questions and the willingness to help these students and to advocate for them. And that's essentially what I would do if I was elected student member of the board. I would want to do those kinds of things for students.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Next question will be, how do you plan to engage the student body and maintain a consistent dialogue with the students of Charles County Public Schools?
So one of the ways I plan to maintain a consistent dialogue is by doing frequent school visits. I'm planning next year, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to take a half-day schedule. That way I can consistently talk to students and get any issues that they see within Charles County and relay that back to the board. And then can you repeat the beginning part of the question?
Of course. It states, how do you plan to engage the student body and maintain a constant dialect with the students of Charles County Public Schools?
Okay, so as far as engaging the student body, I feel right now students, they don't have a lot of opportunity to really find out what issues they see within Charles County or what issues we are currently witnessing. So what I want to do is I want to create issue statements that can be sent out to all students that portrays like all of the issues that we are currently seeing, all of the problems that we are facing. That way we can allow them to put their direct input and their direct opinions on those issues, whether it be through votes, polls, or just a Microsoft form that allows students to write whatever they want. And then I would personally go through every single answer and be sure to collectivize it and review every single answer to make sure that these issues are being addressed.
David?
Could you repeat the question?
Of course I can. How do you plan to engage the student body and maintain a constant or consistent dialect with the students of Charles County Public Schools?
I agree with Amir in the sense that we need to do visitation with students. The only way we hear the students and the best way for them to know that we're here for them and we're trying to communicate with them is to be upfront and in person with them. And hearing the issues they have brought to our attention, that helps a lot. And creating those forums and creating those ways of contact outside of school will definitely help. It'll create an incentive to relay the information that we need so that we can get the help needed. And could you repeat student body, sorry. And for student body, I believe that in my school especially, our student body diminishes the actual power that they possess. They undermine the value that they have as students, because we're just students, right? No, we're more than that. We're the voice. We're the youth. We're the next leaders. That's what we are. So I believe that inspiring them and letting them know that you have more power than you believe will inspire them and get them to help.
Any comments or questions?
No.
All right. So before we end, we always like to end anything on a high note. So the last and final thing I have for you guys is to compliment each other on one thing.
Oh, well, where do I begin? I mean, so many compliments to said about this amazing woman. So where do I start? I got too many.
I can go first.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I would like to say I'm very admired by your position and definitely everything that you stand for. I'm also admired. You're a sophomore, which means you're running very young for this position. I'm a junior. I've had an entire more year of experience than you, yet I still feel we're on the same level. So I'm very impressed with your professionalism, your eloquence when you speak. That's something that I really think that's great.
That's so sweet. I'm touched. I'm gonna cry a little bit, but no, I think your ideas, your beliefs are so strong, and you would make an excellent person for this. I mean, the way you carry yourself, the way you relay your message, it's powerful and it means so much.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. If you guys had any closing remarks, this is your opportunity to take them.
Would you like to go first?
Okay. So basically, my main goal as SMOB is I want to recognize the potential that every single student within Charles County has. I want them to recognize the amount of power that they hold and the amount of power they have when determining their own education. I want them to realize that they do not need to go to school and have no control over everything. They need to realize that they can have direct input on policies, and they can ensure that school is a place where it's safe and where they want to be on a daily basis. So that's what I want to do if I'm elected the next student member of the board.
David?
I would like your vote to be your next student member of the board, because I'll fight for you. I will make sure your voices are heard. Every issue, small, big, brought to my attention will be dealt with, will be fixed, and we do that by the means that we have, that we possess within our county. So everything that I do from this foot forward, even if this doesn't go my way, even if Amira ends up with this position, even if I lose, I will continue to fight for this community, because that's just how I am. I'm passionate about this community, about helping it, and I'll do that by any means necessary, and that starts with us students.
Thank you, guys. You guys did an amazing job. A round of applause. And we just want to leave you guys. Thank you all for watching today. And that is going to be the end of our first student member of the board debate. You guys have a great afternoon.